All right, so get this. We're diving deep into famous witches throughout history and their stories
Oh,
today.
wow.
You sent over some really intriguing material, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to explore these figures with you.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm thinking we can try to uncover how different cultures and different times viewed witchcraft.
Mm.
But would you say that's a fair assessment?
Absolutely. And you know what's so intriguing is that our journey today spans from the myths of ancient Greece
Oh, wow.
to the courtrooms of 17th century England.
Wow, that's a
Talk about our
huge range
Yeah.
of perspectives.
Yeah, so to start us off, we've got Medea.
Okay.
How she's not just some, Disney villain, right?
Right.
This is a powerful sorceress from Greek mythology who helped Jason snag the Golden Fleece using magic to overcome some pretty serious obstacles.
Yeah, it's true. Her magical prowess is undeniable.
Yeah.
But what's truly fascinating about Medea is how her story delves into the complexities of ancient Greek society.
Okay. You'd have here a woman wielding immense power,
Wow.
yet ultimately driven to these tragic extremes by betrayal and this thirst for vengeance.
And let's not forget that whole killing her own children to punish Jason thing.
Yeah.
It's dark. But, it makes you think about the intense emotions
Yeah.
at play and how the ancient Greeks viewed women, justice, and revenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Medea's actions, while horrifying, they force us to confront these moral ambiguities of her time.
Yeah.
She becomes the symbol of the destructive potential of unchecked power
Oh, wow.
and the complexities of human nature.
Okay, so from the world of Greek mythology, we jump to a figure shrouded in biblical mystery,
Okay?
the Witch of Endor.
Yes.
She's known for summoning the prophet Samuel's spirit,
Uh-huh.
which is a pretty impressive feat, wouldn't you say?
Indeed. The Witch of Endor's ability to communicate with the dead places her in this very unique position.
Yeah.
On one hand, her actions are condemned in the Bible,
Right.
but on the other hand, she's revered in many witchcraft traditions.
It really makes you realize that the label of witch doesn't always carry the same weight across different belief systems.
It's a powerful reminder that interpretations of power, spirituality, and the boundaries of the natural world can vary drastically, depending on the cultural and religious context.
Now, for a story that hits a little closer to home, geographically at least,
Okay.
let's talk about Agnes Waterhouse.
Yes.
One of the first people executed for witchcraft in England.
Mm-hmm.
What struck me about her story is how it underscores the dark side of the witch hunts that swept through Europe.
Yes. Agnes Waterhouse's trial in 1566 offers a chilling glimpse into how fear and superstition could lead to unimaginable injustice.
Right.
She was accused of causing death through magic.
Oh, wow.
And ultimately forced to confess to being in league with the devil.
That forced confession part is really troubling.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many innocent people, especially women,
Right.
were caught up in these trials based on flimsy evidence and coercion. It paints a pretty grim picture of the times.
And if we consider the broader context, her execution marks a turning point in European history.
Wow.
It signals the beginning of an era of intensified witch hunts,
Wow.
fueled by this religious fervor and deep societal anxieties.
Oh, wow.
A perfect storm, really.
All right, now let's head over to 17th century France, where things get a little scandalous.
Okay.
Enter Lavoisin, a sorceress caught up in the drama of the French court.
All right.
Poisons, love affairs, and dark rituals. This woman's life was like a real-life soap opera.
Lavoisin's story is a potent cocktail of ambition, desperation, and of course, witchcraft, operating within the shadows of Louis XIV's opulent court.
Wow.
She became infamous for providing poisons and indulging the anxieties of the French elite.
What I find interesting is that people from all levels of society sought her out, from jealous lovers to those seeking to climb the social ladder.
Right.
It makes you wonder, what was it about that time period that created such a demand for her services?
Her story shines a light on the anxieties and power dynamics of that French court.
Right.
The desire for control, the fear of losing status, the lengths people would go to for love or revenge.
It's crazy.
These are all themes woven into Lavoisin's narrative.
It's a reminder that witchcraft, in many ways, reflects the desires and anxieties of the society in which it exists. It's not just about, spells and potions.
Right.
It's about the human drama playing out behind the scenes.
Precisely. And as we delve deeper into these stories, you'll see that pattern emerge again and again.
Okay.
Witchcraft becomes this lens through which we can understand the cultural and societal forces at play.
From the intrigue of the French court We now journey to a place synonymous with magic and mystery, New Orleans.
Right.
And at the heart of it all is Marie Laveau.
Yes.
The legendary voodoo queen. This woman was a true icon, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Marie Laveau represents a different kind of power.
Okay.
One rooted in spiritual healing, community leadership, and a blending of African, Caribbean, and Catholic traditions.
Wow. So many different influences.
Her influence in 19th century New Orleans transcended racial and social boundaries.
Oh, wow.
Highlighting the unifying power of belief and ritual.
She was a healer and advisor, a force to be reckoned with. And what strikes me is her defiance of societal norms.
Yes.
In a time when women, especially women of color, were expected to be subservient, she carved out a position of power and influence.
What's fascinating is how her legacy continues to inspire and captivate.
Yeah.
She's become an icon not only of voodoo, but also of female empowerment and the strength of African-based spiritual traditions in the face of oppression.
Okay, for our next story, we're heading back to 17th century England.
Okay.
But this time is a tale of mass hysteria and the devastating consequences of unchecked accusations. The infamous Pendle witches.
Yes.
This case has become synonymous with the dangers of witch hunts, hasn't it?
The Pendle witches' trial in 1612 is a stark reminder of how fear and prejudice can grip a community.
Oh, yeah.
Leading to devastating consequences.
Wow.
Accused of using magic to harm others, these individuals were caught in a web of coerced confessions and sensationalist testimonies.
What I find particularly chilling is how easily the accusations escalated, fueled by personal vendettas and a lack of due process.
Right.
It's a reminder that even in seemingly civilized society, the potential for injustice and persecution lurks beneath the surface.
The Pendle witches' trial serves as this cautionary tale about the importance of critical thinking, evidence-based reasoning, and the protection of individual rights, even in times of fear and uncertainty.
Wow.
It's a lesson that resonates just as strongly today.
From England, we shift our focus across the Atlantic to one of the most infamous episodes in American history, the Salem witch trials.
Yes.
And at the center of this tragic chapter is Bridget Bishop, the first victim of this horrific witch hunt.
Bridget Bishop's execution in 1692 marks a pivotal moment in the Salem witch trials.
Wow.
Accused of bewitching young girls and exhibiting strange behaviors, she was condemned based on spectral evidence, which basically boils down to visions and dreams.
Oh, wow.
Talk about flimsy evidence.
It's heartbreaking to think about how quickly fear and suspicion spiraled out of control, leading to the deaths of innocent people.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how do we as a society ensure that justice prevails, even when faced with fear and uncertainty?
Bridget Bishop's case and the Salem witch trials as a whole highlight the importance of due process, the presumption of innocence, and the dangers of relying on unsubstantiated accusation. It's a reminder that we must always be vigilant against the erosion of justice, even in the face of societal pressure.
What strikes me is that in many of these cases, the accusations against these women stemmed from behaviors or characteristics that defied societal expectations. It's as if their independence, their strength, their refusal to conform became evidence of their supposed witchcraft.
You've hit upon a crucial point. These trials often targeted women who challenged the patriarchal structures of their time.
Oh, wow.
Their assertiveness, their knowledge, their connection to nature were all twisted into evidence of their supposed evil.
It's a reminder that the label of witch has often been used to control and punish those who dare to step outside the prescribed roles.
And that's a theme that continues to resonate today.
Wow.
As we grapple with issues of gender equality, social justice, and the right to self-expression.
Yeah.
The witch, in many ways, embodies the struggle against oppression and the fight for individual freedom.
This has been quite a journey so far.
It has.
We've covered a lot of ground, from ancient myths to historical trials, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me is how each of these stories offers a unique window into the beliefs, anxieties, and power dynamics of different societies.
And what's even more fascinating is how these stories continue to resonate with us today.
Oh, absolutely.
They raise questions about justice, about power, about the ways in which we perceive and treat those who are different.
It's true.
These are questions that we as a society are still grappling with.
You know, before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I'm curious.
Okay.
What stands out to you about the practices associated with witchcraft?
Okay.
We've touched on potions and spells, but is there more to it than that?
There's a whole world beyond the stereotypical image of the witch brewing concoctions in a cauldron.
Okay.
In reality, witchcraft encompasses this wide range of practices, beliefs, and traditions. And as we delve deeper into these practices, you'll see how they reflect the cultural and historical context in which they emerged.
All right, folks, hold on to your hats, because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore those practices in more detail. Get ready to uncover the hidden world of witchcraft and its enduring impact on our world.
Well, welcome back to our exploration of famous witches throughout history.
It's great to be back. Before the break, we were starting to talk about witchcraft practices.
Yes.
It seems like there's a lot more to it than just the stereotypical image of bubbling cauldrons and flying broomsticks, right?
Absolutely. Witchcraft, historically speaking, encompasses this diverse array of practices.
Okay.
Think herbalism, healing, divination, ritual magic.
Wow.
It's this rich tapestry woven from a blend of folklore, spirituality, and a deep connection to the natural world.
So it's not all about casting spells and summoning demons, then?
Right.
What can you tell us about the actual practices that were associated with witchcraft?
Well, for starters, many accused witches were actually skilled healers.
Oh, okay.
They used their knowledge of plants and natural remedies to treat ailments, acting as the de facto doctors in their communities.
That makes sense, especially in times when access to medical care was limited. I can see how those practices could easily be misconstrued as witchcraft.
Right.
Especially by those who didn't understand or feared their power.
Precisely. And the definition of witchcraft itself was often fluid, changing with the societal winds.
Interesting.
What might be considered harmless folk magic in one context could be deemed dangerous sorcery in another.
Oh, wow.
Depending on the prevailing social and political climate.
That brings us back to the power dynamics and societal anxieties we discussed earlier.
Right.
It seems like the interpretation of witchcraft was often shaped by those in authority.
Yes.
Those who sought to control the narrative.
You're spot on. And it's important to remember that the sources we have for understanding witchcraft practices are often filtered through the lens of those who were documenting them.
Right.
Often the very people who were persecuting witches.
So how do we reconcile those potentially biased accounts with what we know about the actual practices of witchcraft?
It's like piecing together a puzzle with missing pieces and faded images. We have to approach these historical accounts with a critical eye, recognizing the potential biases and agendas at play.
Right.
But even with those challenges, there are still so many fascinating details to uncover.
Speaking of fascinating details, you mentioned divination earlier.
Yes.
What exactly did that entail, and how did it fit into the broader practice of witchcraft?
Divination was all about seeking knowledge of the unknown, whether it was glimpsing into the future, communicating with spirits, or understanding the forces at play in the world.
Wow.
Techniques varied widely from reading the stars and interpreting dreams to using tools like tarot cards and scrying mirrors.
It sounds like people were searching for meaning and a sense of agency in a world that can often feel unpredictable and chaotic.
Absolutely. In many ways, these practices offered a way to connect with something larger than oneself, to seek answers, and exert some degree of control over life's uncertainties.
And while we might approach these concepts with a modern scientific mindset, it's important to recognize the profound impact they've had on human history.
Right.
And the ways in which they continue to shape belief systems and practices around the world.
You've hit on a crucial point. Even though we might view these practices differently now, they represent this fundamental human desire to make sense of the world, to find meaning and purpose in the face of the unknown.
You know, one thing that has always intrigued me is the symbolism associated with witchcraft.
Okay.
Think herbs, crystals, specific incantations, gestures.
Yes.
Like a whole secret language. What can you tell us about the significance of these symbols?
Symbols and rituals played this vital role in witchcraft,
Okay.
acting as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms.
Interesting.
Each element carried a specific meaning, often drawing upon ancient folklore, mythology, and a deep understanding of the natural world.
So it wasn't just about randomly throwing ingredients into a cauldron.
Right.
There was a deliberate intention behind each action, each symbol used.
Exactly. These symbols served as a way to invoke specific energies, to connect with spirits, to manifest desired outcomes.
Wow.
They were tools for communicating with these unseen forces of the universe.
It sounds like a complex and nuanced system of belief,
Mm-hmm.
one that goes far beyond the simplistic portrayals we often see in popular culture.
It certainly is. And while the specific meanings and practices might vary across different traditions, there's this common thread of seeking to tap into unseen energies, to influence the course of events or to gain a deeper understanding of the world.
So we've talked about the diversity of witches, the variety of practices, and the power of symbols and rituals.
Right.
But what about the impact of witchcraft on society as a whole?
Okay.
Beyond the individual stories, how has witchcraft shaped our beliefs, our traditions, our culture at large?
That's where things get even more intriguing.
Okay.
The concept of witchcraft has been woven into the fabric of human history for centuries,
Wow.
shaping our folklore, our mythology, and even our societal norms.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about those deep connections.
Well, it's important to recognize that witchcraft wasn't always viewed with fear and suspicion. In many ancient cultures, those who practiced magic were respected figures, healers, advisors, even leaders.
Oh, wow.
They were seen as possessing special knowledge and abilities that could benefit the community.
So there were more like wise women or shamans, keepers of ancient wisdom.
In a sense, yes. But as societies evolved and belief systems shifted, the perception of witchcraft often changed as well.
Okay.
The rise of organized religions, for example, often led to the demonization of witchcraft, portraying it as this threat to the established order.
It sounds like a classic power struggle with those in authority seeking to control the narrative and marginalize those who challenge their dominance.
Exactly. And then you have the social and economic upheavals of the late Middle Ages and early modern period.
Oh, right.
Plagues, famines, wars. These created this widespread anxiety and uncertainty, leading people to seek explanations and scapegoats for their misfortunes.
And it seems like those who were already perceived as different or possessing mysterious powers became easy targets for blame.
It's a sad but recurring theme throughout history.
Yeah.
The witch became the embodiment of societal anxieties, a convenient target for those seeking to deflect blame or consolidate power.
But even in the face of persecution, the belief in witchcraft persisted.
It did.
And in many ways, it's continued to shape our cultural landscape.
Absolutely.
Think about the fairy tales and folklore we grew up with.
Oh, yeah.
Witches are often prominent figures representing both good and evil power and danger.
It's true.
They've become these archetypes in our collective consciousness,
Wow.
shaping our understanding of magic mystery and the boundaries between the natural and supernatural.
It's like they've transcended their historical context and become part of our cultural DNA, influencing everything from literature and art to music and film. And their influence extends beyond the realm of entertainment.
Okay.
The neo-pagan and Wiccan movements of the 20th century reclaimed the image of the witch, embracing it as a symbol of female empowerment, nature worship, and spiritual exploration.
It's amazing how the image of the witch has evolved over time.
It is.
Once a figure of fear and oppression, she's been transformed into a symbol of liberation and spiritual autonomy.
It's a testament to the enduring power of these archetypes and the ways in which they continue to evolve and resonate with new generations.
This is incredible. We've really journeyed through the heart of witchcraft, exploring its complexities, contradictions, and enduring influence.
And as we move into the final part of our deep dive, we'll delve even deeper into the legacy of witches, examining how their stories continue to captivate us and challenge our understanding of history, belief, and the human condition.
I'm ready for the final chapter of this captivating story. What awaits us as we explore the lasting legacy of witches? We've journeyed through centuries exploring the lives of famous witches, their practices, and their impact on society.
It has been quite a journey.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious about something.
Okay.
Why do you think the image of the witch continues to hold such power in our collective imagination, even today?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? Even centuries after the height of the witch hunts, the witch remains this potent symbol constantly being reinterpreted and reimagined in our culture. Perhaps it's because she embodies this sense of mystery, of power, of rebellion against the constraints of societal norms.
I see what you mean. We see her represented in so many different ways, from the wicked crones of classic fairy tales to the powerful independent heroines of modern fantasy novels and films.
And it goes beyond entertainment.
Okay.
The witch has become a symbol of empowerment in various social and political movements.
Oh, wow.
Think of the feminist reclaiming of the witch figure, embracing her as a symbol of female power and resistance against patriarchal structures.
It's like she's become an icon for anyone who feels marginalized, misunderstood, or out of step with the mainstream.
Right.
She represents the courage to embrace one's individuality, to challenge the status quo, to tap into one's own unique power.
Precisely. And that transformation speaks volumes about how our cultural values and beliefs have evolved over time.
Yeah.
The witch's journey from a figure of fear and persecution to a symbol of liberation and self-expression reflects this growing acceptance of diversity, a celebration of the unconventional, and a recognition of the power of those who have historically been silenced.
It's almost as if the witch has become a mirror, reflecting back to us our own evolving understanding of the world and our place in it.
You've made a brilliant observation. The evolving image of the witch allows us to examine our own biases, our own fears, and our own aspirations for a more just and equitable world.
But while we celebrate the reclaiming of the witch figure, it's also important to acknowledge the very real harm that has been done in the name of witch hunts and persecution throughout history.
Absolutely. The tragic stories of those accused, tortured, and executed for witchcraft serve as this stark reminder of the dangers of ignorance, fear, and the abuse of power.
It's true.
We must learn from these dark chapters of history, recognizing the importance of critical thinking, due process, and the protection of individual rights.
Those stories underscore the need to be vigilant in safeguarding justice and equality, ensuring that we never repeat the mistakes of the past.
Right.
It's about creating a society where difference is celebrated, not feared.
Absolutely.
And where individual expression is protected, not punished.
It's about honoring the resilience and strength of those who have been persecuted for their beliefs, their way of life, for simply being different. Their stories remind us of the enduring human spirit, the capacity for hope and resistance, even in the face of adversity.
As we conclude our deep dive into the world of witches, I'm struck by the sheer depth and complexity of this topic. We've explored ancient myths, historical trials, cultural traditions, and the evolving image of the witch in our modern world.
And through it all, we've seen how the witch figure has served as this lens through which we can examine our own beliefs, our fears, our aspirations, and our ongoing struggle for a more just and equitable world.
It's been a truly enlightening journey. I want to thank you for sharing your expertise and insights with us today.
The pleasure was all mine. It's been a fascinating conversation.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the captivating world of witches. We hope you've enjoyed exploring these stories as much as we have.
May your journey continue to be filled with wonder, curiosity, and a passion for uncovering the hidden stories that shape our world.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember the magic of discovery lies within each and every one of us.